Welcome back to the Knights of Knee. I'm Jordan, and today we're going to look at the Weirdboy I just finished for my Orc 40k army. If you've ever played against me, you'll know that I generally will not take wizards in 40k, or anyone that can cast spells. I just am not a fan. I prefer to just skip that phase, and I know people love it, and it's more of a competitive phase for sure, but it's just not something I've ever really been into. But we're just going to look at my model really quick, and we're going to notice, I'm going to talk about the psychic powers I like to do really quick, and the ones I'm most excited to try out here really quick as well. So, first off, let's look at the item that I'll probably be giving my wizard, just because in the list I plan on using him in, it's a friendly tournament. I pretty much have to do this based on the way that I built my list. I'm going to give him the Scorched Git Bones relic, and that gives him +1 to tests from all the power of the Wa disciplines. So that's pretty good. And then he also has his normal Wa energy. You get +1 every test for every 10 orc models, not Gretchen, within 10 inches of him, but to a maximum of +3. But that does go towards his Perils of the Warp. And I have found that makes me perils quite frequently, actually. I always will spin the Warp Head CP. I think you need to. It's just too good to get an extra spell. I think you have to. I think you can... Can you deny with it? No, you can only manifest 1 more power, so you can't deny anymore. But being able to manifest 2 powers for a model that's already 75 points is a must. Especially for orcs, because we don't have access to wizards. So if you plan on using them, they come with a smite just like everybody else, but you get 1 more spell. I'm personally going to run Bad Moons, and I'm going to give them the Gleaming Gear. So it's a Warp Charge 6. Pick a Bad Moons unit within 18 inches of him. You get +1 to their saving throws, but non-invulnerable saves. That's huge depending on who you cast it on. Say you cast it on like Hillicans or something, that's awesome. They'll still have the Bad Moons keyword, but they won't have the bonus to getting your bonus cast to it. And they won't have the Bad Moons abilities either of tumbling 6s, but it's worth it. And then I also like to take the Crunch. I know everyone's saying, why not the jump? I don't see, especially with the table size being so much smaller now, I don't see the jump being as viable. Maybe if we're playing gunline armies all the time, but in my experience playing Tau so far, I've played 9 games with them, I have trouble just getting to the objectives, let alone holding the objectives to win the game. I'm doing all sorts of killing work, but I'm not really capturing the objectives, and I find it very difficult to get the objectives and then hold them into the start of my next turn. So the jump's similar to that for me. I don't think you need it. I think you're going to be spending a lot of time holding the objectives anyway as an orc player. So I do the Crunch, and if you look at it, you pick an enemy unit within 18 inches of the wizard, roll a d6 for every model in that unit, for each 6, mortal wound. That's huge against other hordes. That's huge. And then you roll 2d6, and on a 10 up, you do it again against that same unit. That is massive. That is like an awesome spell. Super hard to cast, 8, but if you're playing your wizard right, hopefully he's standing in the middle of an orc boy unit, plus you have this item, he's getting +3 to cast. So really, it's a 5. I think that's more than reasonable, and it's so good. This isn't going to get you any of those vehicle kills, and I know some people have trouble killing vehicles, some people don't. I'm not a player who has trouble killing a few vehicles. If my opponent's all vehicles, I have a lot of trouble. But if they're playing a mixed board, I seem to do alright, and I think that's big. And I also seem to do well against super heavies. I don't have any problem taking down 1 to 2 super heavies a turn. I actually find super heavies to be sitting in a super weird spot now, where they're going to have a lot of trouble being viable, both because they don't really have a high survivability, which is weird to say. But we have, as an orc player, we have so many big anti-tank weapons, like the shock attack guns, smasher guns, mega mech guns, the Morkanaut. I mean, heck, you could even consider the Depth Dreads now as a viable anti-vehicle weapon. Killicans not so much, but the Depth Dreads for sure. And I think we're war bosses, everything. Everything in Army seems like it's designed to deal a ton of wounds, except for orc boys, but deal a ton of wounds to high toughness targets. And I have no problem doing that against a single super heavy to a turn. I have a problem when I come against all Lemon Rust players, or I guess that's probably the only example I really have where I've noticed I really struggle, or Tau with tons of battle suits. They're not really vehicles, but I really struggle against those 2 types of armies, and I'm not sure why. Maybe it's like I'm a bad player. Probably am. Who knows? But that's my thoughts about the Weirdboy. I hope you guys like looking at him. If you have anything you want to throw in the comments, feel free.